Hello, and welcome back to Renee the Curious. Today, I thought of sharing a couple tips that I find really useful when working with Claude Code, which, after dilly-dallying between Warp Dev, the client extension, paying for tokens, I think is the best deal in terms of bang for buck and just sheer development joy. This morning, I got a call from a user, a subscriber to Alberta Wellfinder, and she asked about downloading. As you may know, or probably you don't know, in this application that I wrote a little while ago, you can click and drag out an area, and when you close it, you're prompted to download wells. In this case, there are 70 wells, and I could download it as a CSV or copy it to my clipboard. And why would I want to do that? Well, a lot of our users want to put these wells in Excel to share with their colleagues, or send to someone who's not a user. And so, yeah, it's pretty simple. Copy, paste, and here's all of the data for those wells. What this user, her name is Priyanka, asked about is the ability to download not just wells, but facilities. And so here, I'll bump this up a little bit. The facilities are these triangles. So wells are where, you drill a hole and extract oil, gas, water, other things. But then the processing, which you can see through these pipelines, goes to these facilities, which, gather gas and other things. So in her app, or turn off the download feature. So what she asked quite simply is, could she download facilities in addition to wells? And I'm like, yeah, sure. You're the first to ask. So let's do it. And so what I did is I started up Claude Code and began my prompt. Expand the download feature to include facilities. Now, before I read this and describe to you what it actually did, something that many people don't take enough advantage of, in my humble opinion, and I'm one of them actually until recently, is the planting mode that you get in Claude Code. So for example, if I go to an application, let's go to, no, not you. Let's see, if we go to Canada Wellfinder and we'll go to Claude, and when we start it up, you'll notice that we can, using Shift, we can turn thinking off. I generally like it to be on. It uses more tokens, but we get a better result. And then the other one is, did I say Shift? I meant Tab. So Tab is for thinking on or off. And Shift+Tab goes from plan mode to active mode. And what does that mean? It means that when you're in plan mode, Claude won't do anything. It'll just try to understand what you're doing, and if necessary, interview you, like ask you questions, and create, at the end of this, a plan which you can read and approve or modify. And I find this saves tons of time, not to mention a little bit of tokens and usage of the model. And so how I used it this morning in a fairly simple, straightforward way is gave it a prompt while I was in thinking plan mode to, again, expand the download feature to include facilities, how it should work. When the user selects an area with the rectangle or polygon tool, which you can see here, so rectangle, and it's that simple. The export data model modal rather, and so that's, what are we talking about? We're talking about this thing. So in my developer in my developer environment, I try to reuse components, but I'd like to tell the Claude Code in this case what the name of the component is, makes it a little faster for it to find it in the project. In the modal header, use a Bulma toggle switch to replace export data with export wells facilities. Default as wells, exporting facilities will be limited to max users. So in this application, there are three kinds of subscription plans: Lite, Pro, and Max. And so this is considered to be more of a Pro feature or a Max Pro feature. And we want it to default to wells. Exporting facilities will be limited to max users. Do you understand me perfectly? Or do you have any clarifying questions before presenting a plan? Probably not necessary to do this because I'm in planning mode, but in any case, I like to ask it anyways. Muscle memory. User answer. So this is its thinking. Um, and, uh, and, and in fact, this was already developed to some extent, but here it's going to present the plan to finish it. And it's going to create the component. It's going to update the data export modal. And I just love this. I love how clean and simple and approachable this planning mode is. And I think the other models do it as well, but I don't think any of them do it as well as Claude Code, especially when you're using Sonnet 4.5 in thinking. Update the selection tools. You get the idea. And then it's, I didn't ask it for, specifying the constants. But it did it anyways. And one of the reasons why it can sort of achieve more than it's asked for is that in the project, when we're using Claude Code, here, let's bring VS Code over. We have our Claude file, which is sort of a running, notepad for Claude to sort of remember the structures. And when you start it up, it instantly reads this, or it already knows it, in fact. So a lot of the rules that you may have, you don't have to tell it every single time. So it's quite nice. In any case, it tells me the files it's going to modify, and then I reach my session limit, which is happening faster and faster. Why? One reason is that I'm running Claude Code on multiple projects at the same time. So it used to be that I could work for a few hours and before I run into my usage limit. Now it's like an hour and a half when I'm running Claude Code Sonnet 4.5 in multiple windows. And this happened actually in both Alberta Wellfinder, and I was making some revisions to Alberta Wellfinder, or Canada Wellfinder, all of the finders. And so I realized, okay, I'm going to upgrade to max. And I thought I'd share one other item with you that is interesting. So if you're a pro user, I thought the base price for max was 200. That was kind of floating around. Maybe it used to be only 200. But now, let's see, reload here. And this has been this way for some time. Well, in any case, I don't know what's happening with Claude Anthropic. But there's a sort of in-between mode. So for $20, you get Pro. For $100 a month, and this is US dollars, so like 5,000 Canadian. But for $100, you get 5 times more usage than Pro. The nice thing that Anthropic does, though, is they credit whatever's remaining in your plan for Pro, and I'm sorry, prorated credit for the remainder of the Pro plan. I see, because I'm halfway through my month. Oh, okay, I thought they were crediting me for Pro. Well, in any case, we're switching over, and for $50, and that will 5x my token usage, which I find to be absolutely worth it, given how much we can accomplish with these powerful models in an agentic way. One last thing I'll share with you. I'm speaking next week in Victoria at Prompt Victoria, which is this wonderful conference, November 20th. So if you're in Victoria, come and hear my talk and all of the other talks, which look to be really great. I'm going to be speaking on the subject, the imagination age. When AI does everything, what do you do? And in a nutshell, I'm going to answer the question that many of us have been answering or trying to answer ourselves, whether we're in software engineering, programming, business, marketing, writing, you name it. When AI does everything, what do we do? So execution is something that we do less and less in software engineering. But what does that mean for programmers? What does it mean for anyone who isn't actually writing the code or writing the copy as much as they used to in the past? And I think the answer to it, which is informed by history and what we are seeing happening around the world is going to be really exciting. So come, if you're not already, come to Victoria, November 20th, and the talks there in the lineup under Viatech's website will show you what you can expect. But in the meantime, thank you for your time and have a great day.